Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue with this next contest, last week, a great friend of boxing, and indeed a great friend of the world of sports, a longtime legendary sports journalist for the New York Daily News, passed away. On behalf of promoters and HBO, our condolences to the family. And at this time, we ask you all to remain silent as we toll a memorial count of 10 for one of the great sports writers in the business, Vic Siegel. Rest in peace. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, this is a world title contest. And it's brought to you by Golden Boy Promotions with Marquez Promotions in association with Arthur Polulo Banner Promotions and German Titov Promotions. Sponsored by Tecate Cerveza con Carácter and AT&T Viva Mexico plan. Make calls with your wireless phone to Mexico or from Mexico as if they were local calls. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission and World Boxing Association. Supervisor for the WBA, John Duggan. The three judges at ringside scoring this contest will be Dwayne Ford, C.J. Ross, and Paul Smith. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action, Robert Byrd. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant WBO Middleweight Championship of the World. Fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue with red and white, officially weighing 159 pounds. His professional record, a perfect one. 20 fights, 20 victories, including 17 knockouts. From Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York, the undefeated Daniel, the Golden Child Jacobs. And fighting out of the blue corner, wearing blue with black, official weight 160 pounds. Also, a perfect professional record consisting of 16 fights, 16 victories, including 13 knockouts. From Galenchik, Russia. From Russia with love, the undefeated Dmitry Pirog.
Just one. Just one. Rest of you clear. Check. Okay. You had your instructions in the dressing room. The only thing I'm going to remind you of now is when I tell you stop, what that means is stop whatever you're doing, give me a clean break. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Let's do this.
You see the difference in punching power, at least as exhibited against the opponents that each guy has fought. 10 knockouts so far for Jacobs in the first round, and Pirog with only one of them. And now the bell sounds for round number one. I have ridiculed the fact that the winner of this bout will be awarded a middleweight title belt, because the governing body, which is supplying that belt, stripped it from Sergio Martinez just a few weeks after Martinez beat up Kelly Pavlik to clearly become the #1 middleweight and the legitimate middleweight champion of the world. So it's preposterous that there's a belt on display here for competition, but It's no insult to either of the two fighters. They're both excellent young men and excellent fighters, either of whom could have a terrific career in the sport, either of whom could conceivably someday be a legitimate middleweight champion. But to call one of them that now is absurd.
Well, right away you saw Danny Jacobs come by and try to land a big right hand, which was a good move. But as I'm studying his face, I think in his expression, I think he's developed a little respect for Dmitry at this point. And he's realizing that his upper body movement and his head movement is going to create a slight problem because it's not that easy to hit Pirog that easy with the head punches. He moves very well.
Well, the first thing everybody who has seen him says about Dmitry Pirog, and this was clear on the tapes at which we looked, he is not the classic stand-up European fighter. No. He is a guy who bends at the waist, has a lot of movement, and he has watched American fighters constantly. You can see it in his style. Look at that.
Very, very relaxed.
Danny Jacobs fighting in a southpaw stance now. We've seen it a couple of times.
Well, Danny, you can look, he's trying to find himself right now. He's not having the success he expected as easy. And so he's trying to make adjustments right now, which is a very smart thing to do.
He landed a straight left hand out of his southpaw stance and stays in it.
What's going to work for him is what he's trying to find out now.
Pirog momentarily switched southpaw to throw that left hand. Now Jacobs goes back to his conventional stance. This is the way they'll match up against each other most of the night.
Shots. All right, there we go.
Good right hand by Pirog. Jacobs kind of leaned into it for him.
Jacob still has not found a way really to effectively land punches on Pirog. Pirog's upper body movement is really creating a problem for him.
Well, Jacobs seemed to land more punches, but the best punch of the round might have been the left hand from Pirog.
Не надо, Влад. Попивай по чуть-чуть. Все, сел, расслабился.
You got up on your defense, you can always come off the block.
They don't like it when you back him up.
Okay.
You can't let him leave.
Nice and easy. He's right there for you. You know what I'm saying? Your speed is your power. The speed is your power.
Keep the jab in his face. Short combinations when you get close. Don't go over the top. Bring him up.
All right, come on,
Stay focused. Good round.
You're looking good, champ.
Wide margins of.
You want that one?
I don't think you want
Nah.
it. Let's pick it up.
It's just close. You're just making it too close.
I'm not certain, frankly. I didn't do enough research to know whether Daniel Jacobs is a New York Football Giants fan or whether his cornermen have simply found out it's extremely convenient that they can buy jerseys with big New York logos all over them that say Jacobs on the back. Number 27, Brandon Jacobs, the running back for the Giants.
Pick him up.
Danny Jacobs has a very good trainer in his corner in Victor Roundtree. Very, very good. I was going to say,
Hard
but
right
he's
hand by Pirog. Jacobs almost went down.
I was going to say, but he's going to have his hands full tonight trying to figure out a victory strategy for Jacobs tonight.
That's a good body shot with the left hand by Pirog. Right now, Pirog's the aggressor earlier in the fight, and he landed a big right hand here in the second round that has Daniel Jacobs on the defensive. You were about to say that Jacobs' terrific trainer, Victor Roundtree,
He's going to have his hands full tonight,
Yep.
trying to plot a strategy. Because I know they were not expecting this type of a fight from Pirog. Pirog is a very, very good fighter.
is he relaxed enough on this stage?
Very
Looks like he
relaxed.
lives in Vegas.
I was, yeah, especially if it's his first time fighting you, but he said he's made quite a few trips here attending fights.
Says
and
he's only been here a week. Says he didn't take that all that easily to American food. Didn't go to the Russian restaurant here in the hotel because that wasn't really Russian food to him. He's beating Jacobs up in this round.
When I was, I'm a very big fan of Danny Jacobs, and I was talking to my boxer, middleweight, Andy Lee, about this fight. He says Danny's going to have his hands full, Emmanuel. Andy says this guy may not look that much, but he's a very difficult guy to fight because he'd been studying him, I guess, being from Europe himself.
The once unbeaten Andy Lee, another very skilled middleweight, still trying to recover from the unexpected loss that derailed his career. It's tough.
And by the way, he did have a knockout last night. He fought last night. So.
Andy's won several fights.
Yeah, but he's still trying to get a key fight. So things look very good for him for the first quarter of next year.
You know, there's an improvisational quality to what Pirog does, and Daniel doesn't seem really prepared for it.
No, it's not. I think they figured a much easier fight. Pirog does things that you really have to look very closely as a real good boxing guy to really study and see what he's doing. But as I said, he moves his head in and out, changes, gives you angles, changes, and punches from those pivots. He's pivoting and turning and punching at the same time.
After looking at him on videotape, I said to a couple of writers that he reminded me of a younger, slightly bigger Javier Castillejo. Remember Castillejo of Spain?
Yes. Yep.
Fought against Vargas, fought against De La Hoya, etc. Castillejo was long-armed, more conventional than Pirog.
No, this is a better fighter here.
Obviously.
Yeah,
that's what I was about to say. It's clear now he's better.
I can see the Ray Leonard moves a lot, not as fast in the front row, but he twists and pivots, changes his angles. But he's a pressure fighter, which is amazing.
Moves his head very well inside.
Yep.
Сел, расслабился, все. Расслабился, хорош. Хорош. Пить.
To dictate no pace.
No, I gotta get my jab out.
All right, but don't let him get no pace on you.
Okay.
All right?
Stop laying on them ropes.
The ropes is not good for you, all right? Don't let him get no pace on you. You got me?
Come on, baby.
Now what? Get the shots together.
Here you see Pirog landing punches, and I think the biggest problem that Jacobs had, he didn't know where they was coming from because it's such a different variety of punches. And the right hand here was a great shot, but he didn't actually get a knockdown score against him simply because his gloves, his body never touched the canvas. But as close as you can get without being knocked down.
Strong legs kept Jacobs from going to the canvas on a brilliant 1-2 straight up the middle by Pirog. Harold, how do you have it through two?
Okay, Jim, I've got a 19-19 one round apiece. But I got to tell you something. I disagree with Emmanuel Stewart. That should have been a knockdown. Those ropes were holding this guy up. The guy went into the ropes. You know, if the ropes weren't there, Danny Jacobs would have been on his back. And therefore, Robert Byrd should have given him a mandatory 8 count. Robert Byrd gave him a break on that call. He definitely was caught up in those ropes. Be as it may, Danny Jacobs probably pulled out the first round with good, strong right hands. Pirog beat the heck out of him in the second round, 1 round apiece.
CompuBox numbers favored Jacobs in round 1. CompuBox numbers clearly favored Pirog in round 2, as you might expect.
I didn't see the ropes holding. He was bending forward.
I think it was a pretty close call.
He was bending forward when he regained his balance, and not that he was back in the ropes holding where he would have fell out of the ropes.
I was watching his butt on the replay, looking
for
for exactly that, and I think his butt was just in front of the rope instead of on it. But it was a very close call. Certainly, Byrd wouldn't have been criticized if he had given the 8 count.
I think the more important problem is Danny Jacobs trying to figure out the movements and the pressure that's being applied to him from all angles.
Well, he agreed with his cornerman that he can't be backed up against the ropes, that the ropes are not a good place. But Pirog has him against the ropes again. And now there's a look of concern on Jacobs' face that shows you that there are mysteries in there for him which need to be solved.
I saw that look after the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and so he was having problems hitting him, and not like they had rehearsed and planned. So, you just have to make adjustments if he can. Realize he's got a very talented fighter and started boxing different. Do a lot of feinting before he punches to make him move first and then hit him.
Just because Pirog did not star in the Russian amateur program and go to the Olympics and earn the kind of profile that several Russian fighters have gotten from their Olympic action, a lot of people might have thought, oh, maybe he's not as good as those other guys. Maybe he's better. Because he has trained himself into a more American style.
Watching the tapes of Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Look at the head movement there.
Definitely not European fighter, so maybe his style wasn't really compatible with what their scoring system was over there neither.
fighting somebody from Russia, if you're looking for that stolid, stand-up, stationary style, not here. This guy is a mover.
Well, what's interesting to me is the pressure that he's putting on, and Danny's doing good right now, but I don't know the pressure that he's putting on Danny. He's making Danny fight and move a lot faster than I think Danny wants to.
Right hand by Jacobs.
Good, man. I think he better pull one that round.
That may help his composure.
Yep.
His ass off. All right, you got me?
Nice
But,
clap.
but let your hands flow a little better.
Who's the number
No,
one?
let your hands flow. Right there. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and get your combinations off. All right? Get your combinations off. Look, your jab is beautiful. Use your jab more. Double and triple your jab. If you get him going backwards, keep him going back. Because you know, like I know, he cannot fight going backwards. Keep him more balanced. Don't let him dictate no pace.
Right here, you can see the great defense of Pirog, which is his upper body movement. He pivots and turns, good head movement. Very, very difficult to land with two punches, even if you're hitting with one punch. Right here, you see Jacobs in a beautiful, clean right hand, probably the best punch he's landed tonight. And that's what he's got to keep doing. And after he lands those punches, get away right away, move away. But he's going to have to be in great shape tonight because he's going to have pressure on him all night long.
Harold Letterman gave Jacobs the round. That right hand helped to sort of even the score, given that Pirog has already landed 3 or 4 of those kinds of damaging shots with both the left and the right hands. Good body shot by Jacobs. Pirog leaned into that one. CompuBox numbers in the 3rd round favored Jacobs. 13 out of 75 to 6 of 48 for Pirog. Jacobs back in that southpaw stance. Seems to feel he maybe has a better chance to land a power left hand out of this stance than out of his conventional stance, Emmanuel.
Well, I still can't figure it out, but evidently he must feel more comfortable in it. But I haven't saw him land too much, except the first time he did it, he was able to land a looping left hand. But other than that, he's not been that effective. But, you know, it's risky when you're fighting a guy with the great upper body movement that Pirog had to be doing anything that's experimental, so to say.
Stop.
Pirog's got a little bit of showboat in him, too.
Definitely not your regular.
Talking to Jacobs in there. Jacobs hammering to the body. I don't suppose Pirog is speaking Russian to Jacobs.
You know what surprised me? A lot of these guys, they speak a lot better English than they let you on to think. Because most of them had it standard in their school over there.
They take it in first grade.
Yeah, but they try to let you think that they don't speak, but they understand a lot of things when you're speaking to them.
Well, that was always the old Soviet persona. I mean, during the days of Soviet Union control of sport in those countries, people who spoke perfect English were absolutely deaf and dumb when American reporters were around.
Yeah. And as soon as you leave, then they start speaking.
Pirog's head is so elusive. I think if I were in Jacobs' corner, Emmanuel, I might beg him to focus on the body for a while.
Yes. And then Jacobs has to try to throw his flurs and land and get away right away. But I think that the fight's going to be fairly competitive to a certain degree, but I'm just worried about the condition of Jacobs going down the stretch.
Because?
Well, I don't think he's ever had this type of a pressure that's put on him. These guys come in very difficult pressure, too, not a straight line pressure.
Well, Jacobs' biggest win was in August last year, almost a year ago against Ishe Smith. Ishe Smith, much older than Pirog, not nearly as active, a different kind of proposition.
A good round.
Here you see.
Все, понял, понял.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything is off the block. Everything is off the block. If you once you get your combination up, bring your defense back up. He come at you, catch, come back at him. All right. If you get him going back, he step back. You do your 1, 2, 3, 4, and keep on going back.
This is something totally new to Jacobs right now, being hit with the punches that he's been hit with tonight, and then also an opponent that he can't seem to control and make an adjustment to. But it seemingly between rounds, studying his expression, he seems to be adjusting very well.
CompuBox numbers in the 4th round, Jacobs 26 out of 73, and Pirog only 8 out of 51. That makes it sound as though Jacobs easily won the round. You can see that Harold gave it to Pirog, who landed the more significant blow. So this is a fight in which CompuBox numbers may not give you as accurate a profile of what's happening as is normally the case because of what an unusual style Pirog demonstrates in the ring. Good comeback left hook by Jacobs there. What was that, Emmanuel?
You know, I think he just told him to hit me low, but not even a big issue of it, which I think is good.
Yeah, I didn't see anything really land low.
It was low. It was low, but I don't think it was intentional, and I don't think it was.
Oh, down goes Jacobs on a perfect right hand.
Right on top
and
of it.
that may be that.
It's over.
No way. Robert Byrd won't even finish the count. He waves his arms, and Jacobs is gone on a stunning knockout by Pirog. Well, you said it, Emmanuel. He's never seen anything like the opponent with whom he was in there tonight. And Dmitry Pirog has just produced one of the shockers of the year.
Well, Andy Lee, you was right.
Andy Lee, Jorge Linares.
Yep.
It happens to a lot of the great prospects. Amir Khan. So add Daniel Jacobs to the list that includes Andy Lee, Amir Khan, and Jorge Linares, whom you saw in the first fight tonight.
Yep.
Can you come back from the shocking early knockout in your developing career?
But this was this guy was fighting a good fight all the way through. He was, to me, although I saw the fight should have been close, I could see going down the stretch, I liked the way that Pirog was looking.
Do you suppose the governing body that stripped that title belt from Sergio Martinez, the legitimate middleweight champion of the world, and put it up for competition here, was hoping that Dmitry Pirog would take it back to Galinchuk, Russia?
No, I thought it was starting with Danny Jacobs.
I
but
doubt it.
After seeing Pirog is going to be a problem for anybody.
Serves the governing body right. Here's the right hand, and boom! Jacobs was asleep for 5 seconds. That was enough to convince Byrd that it was over. Just at the moment when Byrd waved off the count, that's when Daniel looked up and seemed to say, wait a minute, I'm still here. But, alas, the knockout had already been scored.
But look at the body movement of Pirog coming in from all kind of angles, not just his upper body, his footwork, his balance. It's just very, very difficult to fight with a guy like him.
What a cagey, scary athlete he is.
Fights like an old veteran fighter.
Daniel Zaragoza.
From America, too.
Daniel Zaragoza. He reminds me of Zaragoza in his improvisational style. All 3 judges had Jacobs up 3 rounds to 1. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the particulars on the knockout.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at Mandalay Bay, a new middleweight star is born. The winner at 57 seconds, round number 5. Still undefeated, and now the new WBO middleweight champion of the world from Russia with love, Dmitry Pirog.
Here's a look at CompuBox numbers. Final totals in the fight. Jacobs landing 30 punches more, throwing 35 more, landing at a higher connect rate. All utterly academic. Wasted by 1 right hand. But it wasn't just the one right hand. You saw it. Pirog landed several clean, hard shots throughout the fight against a Daniel Jacobs who seemed a bit surprised by the style which appeared in front of him tonight. Let's take a look at the power shots. And you can see here that Jacobs had the edge there too, landing 24 more, throwing 7 fewer, landing at a higher connect percentage. Again, as we mentioned just before the knockout, it was one of those nights when CompuBox numbers weren't necessarily going to provide the profile you expected. And now we are joined here at ringside, very graciously I might add, by young Daniel Jacobs, and obviously a disappointed young man. Danny, what happened?
Well, everything was just too fast. You know, with the devastation of a lot of things going on in my life right now, with my grandmother passing, everything, I didn't have a time to train as hard as I wanted to, but, you know, no complaining. I just hope my family can forgive me. I know everybody back home watching me. I love you. In this hard time that we're going through, everybody, keep your faith in me. We're going to make it through this time.
Some might have been misled by Pirog's absence of identity into thinking that this was an easy assignment. You made clear yesterday that you fully understood it was not an easy assignment. What is it that's tough about him?
Well, he just threw a lot of shots that I didn't see, and the right hand is one of those shots that I didn't see. And you know, hopefully I could come back and reclaim my throne and take it all the way to the top.
Are you suggesting that you were more distracted by your grandmother's death than in retrospect you thought had been the case?
Well, I think if I would have had a great camp and I could focus 100%, then I would have gave a better chance. But my legs wasn't there. No taking away from Dmitry Pirog. He's a great fighter, but you know, it was just one of those things. And like I said before, I want to thank my family in this hard time for giving me their support, and I love everybody back home.
We mentioned on the telecast, this happened to Jorge Linares, who was in the first undercard fight here tonight. It happened to Amir Khan. It happened to Andy Lee. It happens sometimes to young prospects. What is in your mind now as you look forward to the future?
Well, right now, I just want to go home and hold my family. I know everybody's going through a tough time, but I just want to go home and soak in on the love, because it's a lot of love home. And, you know, this is a sport. You know, family's more important. And hopefully I could go back and still be that superstar to my family.
All right, Daniel, you deserve a ton of credit for coming down to speak to us after this unexpected and shocking knockout. We wish you the best of luck in the future. And, hey, Jorge Linares already proved tonight this doesn't have to be the end of anything.
Thank you. To my family, I love y'all. I'm sorry, but I'm coming home to be with y'all. I love y'all.
Daniel Jacobs from Brooklyn, New York, suffers the first loss of his professional career, but there is a lot more in the future for this young man. And what a show by Dmitry Pirog of Kalinchuk, Russia, who shows up unknown on these shores and introduces himself with a looping right hand over the top that knocks out one of the hottest young prospects in the sport.